What the f? Okay, folks, if you've watched my other videos at all, you know that I make my money by building these shelves and selling them to IKEA. But here's the problem. The other day, an angry customer headed into the store, all ticked off, with this thing, with this ugly shelf. And of course, the store took it back, gave them one of these, and sent this thing back to me because I built it. I'm the manufacturer. And I said, so, what's wrong with it? And they said, look at it. It's crooked. And we checked our inventory, and we've got thousands of these things. But we're not going to sort them out. We're taking every bit of our inventory that we've got and sending it back to you, and you're going to sort them out until all you send us back are ones that look like this. Crap. How did this happen? How did one of these even make it out of my shop? Well, I used to build all of these by myself. But I was making so much money, I didn't have any time to spend it. So I hired this neighbor kid to come in and run my equipment for me. And then I could go out and spend all that money. Well, then this catastrophe happened. I got to get this figured out right now. Otherwise, they're not going to buy these shelves from me anymore. So, we have to go back to the beginning of the process, where the raw material comes in right from the start. Now, I'm going to be showing you how I build these things. This is my secret sauce. So you're going to get to see how I make my money. But it's okay. It'll just be our secret. Just between you and me. All right, so here we are at the chop saw. This is where the raw material comes in, and these are just some bar ends, some leftover stuff or whatever that so we run these up against the stop. In fact, let's just check our machine. This will be part of a setup. There's one of our good parts. And does the blade come down? Yeah, right there. Okay, so it's we run it up against the stop, and we're going to cut good parts. All right, so let's just see how in the world could they have made such a bad part. No, that's a good one. All right, let's try another one. All right, another good one. I mean, how could you make a bad? This is so simple. All right, let's get a fresh piece here. And oh, son of a! Is that seriously? Oh. So they weren't holding it down, and they put in a fresh piece of stock, and it pops up like that. And it actually cut it at that angle. All right, you know what? We got to find out how this happened. We're going to work our way through the process. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so there's our angled part. That's how we got it. Mystery solved there. So here's the setup for drilling the holes, and doesn't matter which part it is. So let's see what that kid could have done wrong here. So we drop that in, close the vise on it. It's that simple. Fire it up and hit start. Let's watch her run. Okay, that's pretty simple. We blow the chips off, have them flip it over, lock her back down, and hit start. part. It's a production environment, so we got to run that back in there again. Make another one. Alright, so we made 2 good parts there. That's exactly what I taught the kid to do. What is the problem? Well, alright, here's that piece that we found out how I got a bad cut. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so that makes sense. It punched the holes in the end. That makes sense why this end looks this way, but how on earth did he get... Oh, wait a minute. What do we do now? Like if I sit here... Oh! Let's back this vise out a second so you can see. Check this out. When the part goes in the vise, I would always put it up against that face and set it down. But we've got this angled piece on the bottom. If I set it on here first, I'm going to get straight drilled holes. But if I set it on this first and then come up against that, that's a different story. That must be what he did. He must have been thinking, okay, I'm going to set it on this surface and then run it up against there in the vise. So the order matters. Do I go here? Do I go there? Alright, let's follow through. We're going to see. We're good manufacturers here. We got to figure out how this works. That's how it was done. That's how it was done. And don't forget, to save money, we're drilling holes and putting pegs in rather than taking an end mill and interpolating around it. So, this is what he would have done. And flip her over. See, how could anyone put something in like that on an angled surface? Ugh. Alright, don't forget, we have end pieces too on the shelves, and we had some of those that were messed up. Let's figure out what in the world he might have been doing. So, this is how I have always done it. Drop that thing in there, lock her down, fire up the spindle, and run the program. Looks good. I don't see what the problem is. Looks just like the other one. Oh, wait a minute. What if he didn't shove it all the way up against there? What if he left it back? Oh. He just dropped it in without running it up against that surface. So yeah. Yeah, we could make a bad part that way. Let's see. Yep, there we go. That's how you do it. Look at that. Just not shoving it up against that surface in the vise. I mean, I set this up to be made a certain way. And it just didn't get pressed up against it. Now, how about this other one? We had another, remember we had on the chop saw when it makes a bad piece. I mean, you'd think we would end up, oh, there's a couple of different ways to do this. If you dropped it in kind of like I did, it could sit flat like this, or do we come up like that? That's what happened. So yeah, garbage in, garbage out. All right, let's see what that does. There you have it, folks. We figured it out. That's how we made bad parts using this, what we thought was a robust process. Alright, so I think we figured out how this horrible thing got made. But what are we going to do about it? Should we cuss the kid out? Heck yeah! As a bonus, it'll make us feel better. And I've always said, there's nothing better than yelling at other people's children. Now, when I was making these things, I knew it was important to get the ends square, everything lined up just right, so I just built them that way and solved the problem before it became a problem. But this kid that I hired doesn't know that stuff. Now, could I teach him? Yeah. But what about when he gets a job and goes somewhere else? What about when I have so many of these things to build that I've got to start outsourcing? I don't have enough equipment, so I got to hire a local job shop or ship them out. What then? So I got a lot of questions to answer about this thing, and here's the deal. I've made this one video to talk about all these issues, and now the videos that I make after this are going to point back to each of those problems. So I'm going to take them apart one at a time. I'll give you a hint. It's got something to do with datums. So I'm going to take each of these things one at a time and show us how to constrain it, but also talk about the reality of manufacturing, of what kind of power does the drawing have. Does tweaking the drawing actually do anything? Does tweaking the work instructions do something? But yeah, this is going to be my example, how to make sure this doesn't happen, and all we do is make these. And also, let me say, folks, I have really appreciated the positive feedback and the comments of the videos. I can't tell you how much that means to me. That's the only reason I do it, is to help people out. And when I see that folks are struggling with a GD&T class or a concept, and they watch my stuff and go back and it's like, oh, now it finally clicks, you know, that's just awesome. So, you know, keep those comments coming. Subscribe, obviously, thumbs up, all that, and share this with your other classmates and everything, instructors, whatever. If this is good content that's working, man, the more people that can see it, the better. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson.